Doesn't matter where you're going, oh, oh. And rightfully so. Love isn't meant to be alone. Doesn't matter where you're going, I'll go home.
Good morning. Welcome to the Kitchen's Kitchen.
That's good.
This morning we are going to be talking about Jesus and who he is and how Matt and I became Christians.
So, we're going to go back a little farther than maybe some people would, but we're going to start in the book of Genesis in the Bible, which is the first book of the Bible. So, in Genesis, you'll see God, who is the only being that's existed forever outside of time, that created the world, created us. So that's what happens at the very beginning of Genesis. He creates Adam and Eve, who are our first parents. So he puts them in this garden, the Garden of Eden is what it's called. And he basically gives them like freedom to do anything. He's walking with them, he's in communion with them, like they have this perfect relationship with God. And he basically says you can do anything you want in here, except you can't eat from this one tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There's a serpent that comes into the picture and says, you know, God doesn't want you to be like him. He's lying to you, basically, like you should eat from this tree and you'll be like God. And that tempts Eve at the time. They're both there, though, so Adam's just as responsible, just as a side note. Eve takes a bite of the fruit from this tree, which would be how sin enters the world.
The sin is choosing to do what you want instead of what God wants. God tells them originally in the beginning that they're not allowed to eat the fruit because they would die. And so when Adam and Eve eat the fruit, they don't physically die. It was actually a spiritual, relational death that happened. They were no longer able to commune with God, and physically and also spiritually, they no longer had access to God without the sacrifice of an animal, because God is holy and he can't be in the presence of sin. So in order for anybody to commune with God or be in relation with God, they also have to be clean. God is continually always trying to have relationship with his creation, and he desires, because he loves us, to be with us and to commune with us and for us to be with him. And so this is where Jesus comes in.
Jesus is God's son, God's only actual son. Anyways, God sends his son Jesus in the flesh. Basically, he's born to the Virgin Mary. You probably have heard that before. But he's born into the world. He lives a life of without sin, entirely without sin, his entire life, so that at the end of his life, he could sacrifice himself on the cross and pay the penalty for our sin. So the sacrifices that you see in the Old Testament are because our sin requires this sacrifice to like pay the debt, to make us clean. So Jesus pays the ultimate sacrifice of his perfect sinless life on the cross and takes all of the wrath of God, which would be like the wrath of a judge, right? So if someone was in court and they had like murdered some people, like this judge would be angry and he would want justice. God is a judge also, so he needs justice for the sin that we commit against him. So that would be what this sacrifice on the cross is now. Jesus sacrifices himself in that way for us because he loves us. God loves us. 3 days after he dies on that cross, he is resurrected, conquering death and sin. And now, on our level, we believe that Jesus did that. We accept his sacrifice on the cross, and that's what makes us saved. If you've heard that term, that's what makes us Christians. We turn from our sin in that process, so we don't just say a prayer, but it's a heart change and a heart commitment to believe that and say, I don't want to sin anymore. I want to follow you. I want to do what you say is right, and I accept the price that you paid for me on the cross.
And that's the gospel of Jesus Christ. I know we have a variety of different people watching our channel, so if you don't believe, and you've never heard of Jesus before, I would encourage you to maybe pick up a Bible, or you can even go online, and I would encourage you to read Matthew. It's the book of Matthew, the book of Luke, the book of Mark, or the book of John. All of those talk about the life of Jesus. Also, if you aren't sure that you even believe that there is a God, or if you are not sure that you even believe that Jesus was the Son of God, I would encourage you to pray. And prayer is just how we talk to God. And I would encourage you to pray something like, God, if you are real, please reveal yourself to me. Please make yourself known. Show me so that I can understand. And if you are somebody that has heard this before, or multiple times, or people have told you about Jesus and God, and you still haven't decided to make a decision whether or not you're going to follow Jesus, or if you're going to truly believe in Jesus or God, I would encourage you, if you are watching this video and you decide this is something that you want, and that this is something that you are willing to believe, I would encourage you to say a prayer. We call it the prayer of faith, but basically just acknowledging Him, saying, I believe that you're real. I believe what you did on the cross was for me, and I accept your sacrifice for the forgiveness of my sins. And I just ask that you help me to grow in you and to know you, and to help me understand how my life is a part of your plan. And I would encourage you to maybe reach out to us, or reach out to some other Christians that you may know, so that we can help you find a body of believers that you can be a part of, and people to come alongside you and walk with you. And like Matt said earlier, just because you say this prayer doesn't change everything. It is a continual change. Every day you're choosing Jesus. Every day you're choosing to obey Him. Every day you're choosing to follow Him. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box. We would love to answer them. Or if you want to message us privately, I will attach my Facebook information on here, and you can feel free to message me. Soon we will be starting a Facebook of our own for this channel specifically. That will make things a lot easier. But for now, feel free to message us. We appreciate you listening. You guys have a good day.